Welcome to Guitar Club, my name's Dave and this is 1 Minute Wednesdays. In this lesson I'm going to go through how to change between chords. This might take a bit longer than a minute for this one, but I just want to make sure this is covered properly now so that I'm not having to explain this in every one of the 1 Minute Wednesday lessons from now on. I've always found the best way to learn things is to make things fun. So this is a game that I've come up with to help you change between chords, and it's called the Quick Changes Challenge. I came up with this game a long time ago because I had a lot of students that were finding the idea of practicing changing between chords hundreds of times every day to be quite an off-putting and a daunting thing to do. But when I made up this game, none of them had any problems with doing it at all. The game is really simple. You just want to change between two chords 100 times. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but it really isn't anywhere near as hard or as time consuming as you might think. So you set a stopwatch going and you time yourself, and you do this for any chord changes at all. So for example, E and A, so I might go E, A, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you count all the way up to 100. When you get to 100, you stop the stopwatch and you make a note of what time you got. And the idea is you basically, every time you do it, you're going to try and beat your time. In the early stages, because obviously it's a hard thing changing chords, if you find it's taking you more than 5 minutes, when you get to 5 minutes, stop. Just stop. And make a note of what number you got to, so how many chords you'd actually managed to do in 5 minutes. The reason being is I'm a big fan of short but frequent, so regular practice routines. So I say if you get to that point of 5 minutes, you make a note of how many chord changes you've done, and then you're going to try and beat that next time. Short practice routines are easier to do, they're more enjoyable. Because they're less time consuming, you'll also get more done. More frequent, so really regular short practice routines are much more beneficial for you than doing longer sporadic practice routines. You can do longer practice routines if you want to, that's absolutely fine. I used to do a lot longer practice routines, but the idea is to do them regular, so the more frequently you do them, the more you're going to get out of them. So the idea of the challenge is that you're trying to beat your time and your score every time you do it. The goal is to be able to do 100 chords per minute. So that's changing between chords 100 times in a minute, or CPMs, chords per minute as I like to call them. Now that might seem really scary at first, but believe me, that's nowhere near as hard as you think, and you'll be flying through that in no time if you do these little practice routines every day. And the idea behind this is if you can get 100 chord changes in a minute on any particular chord change, whenever that chord change comes up in a song, you're not going to have any problem getting there in time. You're going to be fine at changing between those chords. So if you're doing that E to A change that I just did, and you could do that in 100 changes in a minute. If you were doing a song, you'll have no problem getting between those chords, no problem at all. Now let's say this, if you can do 100 changes in 5 minutes, that means that if you do that twice in a day, you've done 200 chord changes. Now that is a lot of changing chords. That's a lot of chord changes, a lot of good practice there. But it's only taking you 10 minutes out of your day. 10 minutes out of your day is nothing. And as you get better at it and say you can do 100 changes in a minute, you do that 5 times in a day, you've done 500 chord changes in the space of 5 minutes. That's not much time, but you're racking up thousands of chord changes throughout the week. That's really beneficial for you. That's a lot of practicing. That's a lot of good practice. Like I said before, you can do this for any chord change that crops up. So if you had a song where you had to do G to D and you're finding that change difficult, do your quick change challenge for a week and you'll find that you can do G to D no problem at all after that. Thanks very much for joining me today at Guitar Club. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon so you can keep up to date with the lessons as they're uploaded, and I'll see you in the next lesson.